A very good morning to all of you in the class.
Good morning, ma'am.
My voice clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is the document visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, so in the previous class, we have started off with the concept of tuples. And I have explained to you like what is a tuple, and we have seen the utility of a tuple, where tuple is used. It is used as a return type for the div mod and all that. So in today's class, we'll look into the concept of accessing values of tuples. Okay. So you'll be accessing the values of tuples by using the slice operation, like how you have done for the lists and also for the strings. You'll do that for the tuples also. Okay, fine. Now what did I do? I have taken a tuple over here. Okay, so these are the values that I have got. At index 0, 2 is at index 1, 3 is at index 2, and 4 is at index 3, and 5 is at index 4. On the substring from 2 to 4, what will happen is 4 minus 1, so I'll be getting 3 and 4. So then I want the substring till 3, so I just have given the end over here, so end minus 1, so I'll be getting 1, 2, 3. And then I am saying from 2 till the end of the list, okay, so 3, 4, 5. And then I'm asking it to print the entire list, so the entire list is printed over here. And then except the last one, I want to print the entire list. So I just have given colon minus 1. Okay, so the exact thing how we have done with the strings and lists using the slice operation, you also can use the same slice operation on the tuples. Okay, fine. So the next concept is how do you update tuples? Okay, so we cannot change the value, but can extract values from a tuple and from another tuple. Okay, so this is tuple 1. So tuple 1 is because tuples are immutable. Okay, so we know that tuples are immutable, so you cannot make any changes. So T1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, and T2 is equal to this one. Okay, so by using the concatenation operator, what I can do is I can actually create a new tuple by combining these two tuples, T1 plus T2, I can make it T3. Okay, so now when I print T3, it will contain all the values from T1 and T2. Okay, right. So where T2 is added to the end of T1. So this is updating tuples. Now deleting elements in tuples. Let us look into this operation. Okay, so I have a tuple which is 1, 2, 3, and I want to delete the element at index number 1. Okay, so what is the element index number 1? So the element at index number 1 is 2. So I want to delete 2. So what is the error that I'm getting? Because tuples are immutable, you cannot delete also anything from the tuples. So it is saying tuple object doesn't support item deletion. So item deletion it doesn't support. But if you want to delete the entire tuple, like say I'm saying del T1, because T1 is the entire tuple, right? So if I want to delete the entire tuple, this is possible. Okay, so this is valid ending. Okay, deleting the entire tuple is valid, but deleting a specific item in a tuple is not valid. So you'll be getting a type error if you try to delete a particular item from the tuple. So this is regarding deleting elements in tuple. So now let us look into the basic operations that are performed on the tuples. The first operation is the len operation. So the len operation will give the number of elements or the length of the tuple. So here there are 3 elements. So the length of the tuple is 3. Is it clear, girls? Are you following me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So as I have shown you, like you can use concatenation operation. So I'm taking 2 tuples over here and I'm combining and I'm making another tuple which is T1. So T1 will be containing all the elements in these 2 tuples. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. So by using concatenation, I can create another tuple, and this is the operation that is supported on tuple. Okay. So the first operation is like you can find out the length of the tuple. So len is the operation, so you can perform it on a tuple. And the next one is concatenation. You can concatenate 2 tuples and create a new tuple. Okay. So these are the first 2 operations. Now coming to the third operation. So the third operation is multiplies the tuples with an integer. Okay, so you know this operation. Okay, so we have been performing this on a list and also on a string. So what I did over here, so I said T1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, and I said T1 into 3. So 3 times the tuple will be printed. So you can see that. Okay, so this is the first time, this is the second time, and this is the third time the tuple is printed. Okay, so this is repetition, multiplies the tuples with an integer. And the next operation that you can perform on tuple is membership operation. So we know now, right, what is membership, which is in and not in. Okay, so which is in and not in operation. So these check for the membership, okay, whether the element is present in the tuple or list or a string or whatever. Okay, so you can apply this on all these data types. Now T1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, and I'm checking whether 3 is in the list. Okay, so I'm using the in operation. So 3 is in the list. What will it return? It will return true if the element is in the list, if the element is a member of the list. Now 8 not in the list. Okay, so I used the not in over here. So this not in will return true if it is not there. So 8 is not present, so it is returning a true for me over here. 9 in the list, it is not there. I have used an in operation, so it is returning a false. 1 not in T1, 1 is present, so it is giving me a false. Okay, so this membership operation also you can perform on the tuple. What are the first 4 operations? The first operation is len operation, the second operation is concatenation, and the third operation is repetition, and the fourth operation is membership. Okay, now coming to the fifth operation. Okay, so how do you iterate a list? Okay, so I'm having T1 is equal to 1, 2, 3. So then I'm saying for I in T1, and then automatically it will start navigating the list from the index 0 till the end of the list. Okay, right. And I'm printing the value of I. Whatever I want, I can do it inside the for. Since we are saying we are iterating means like extracting one by one item from the tuple. We are writing a for loop, something like this. Okay, right. So next is comparison operation. Okay, so I'm taking two tuples, T1 and T2. Now let us see how the comparison operation is performed. Generally, we compare two items, right? So we compare two items for comparison. Now coming over here, so what it will do is whenever you're having two tuples like this, it will compare the first two items of the two tuples. Okay, first two items of the two tuples is from T1 there is 1 and from T2 there is 1. The first items of the two tuples. What are the first items of the two tuples? One is the first item, yeah, 1 and 1, right? One from the first tuple and one from the second tuple. Now it will apply this greater than on these two elements. Now one is greater than 1. Okay, so it didn't match. Now it will 1. So what happened? It is false, right? So it is giving me a false over here. Okay, so now we'll check for not equal to. Okay, so T1 not equal to T2. Now what it will do, it will check for the first two items. Okay, so 1 and 1 is equal. So it will ignore this and go to the next elements from the two tuples. What are the next elements from the two tuples? It is 2 and 2. So they are also same. So what it will do, it will ignore. Now it will go to the next elements. Okay, so the next element is 4 and 7. Okay, so 4 is not equal to 7. So what it is doing, yes, it is true. Okay, so the two tuples are not equal. So it is returning me a true over here. Did you understand this comparison? Everybody, greater than and not equal to.
Once again, repeat, ma'am.
Okay, now fine. What happened over here is each and every item in the tuple and it will trying to apply greater than symbol on the two tuples. It will check for each and every element. Okay, so all the elements in T1 should be greater than T2. Then it will return true. Okay. So now what we're doing is if any one element, okay, so here if any one element doesn't satisfy the comparison, it will return a false for me. Okay, so that is how it checks. Now coming to the first comparison. Okay, how many elements are there? I have 1, 2, 4 and 9 in the first tuple. And I have 1, 2, 7 and 8 in the second tuple. Okay, so now what it will do, it will apply the greater than between the first elements. Okay, so the first element, I'm saying 1 is greater than 1. So here itself it is saying it is false, right? Is 1 greater than 1?
No, ma'am.
So what it will return? what generally your comparison operation written. Just don't think of a tuple. If I'm saying I gave 1 and 1 and I'm saying 1 is greater than 1, what will be the outcome of that operation?
False.
So it gave a false over here. Okay, right. Now coming to the not equal to. Okay, so what is not equal to? I am saying I'm applying not equal to. So here I'm checking whether T1 and T2 are same or they are different. Okay, so I'm checking whether T1 and T2 they are same or they're different. Okay, so because T1 and T2 are different, so not equal to, I'm checking for not equal to. So it will return if they're different, if they're not equal, it will return a true. If they're equal, then it will return a false for me over here. So what we're doing, we are trying to do a comparison. So the first two elements of the list, they are equal. Okay, so here till here it doesn't check because it's equal over here. So because there is an equality over here. Okay, because T1 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 2. Okay, right. Now coming over here, 4 is not equal to 7, right? 4 is not equal to 7. It checks each and every element in the tuple. Okay, from T1 and T2. 4 is not equal to 7. So what it is saying? So both the sets, both the tuples are not equal. T1 is not equal to T2. Okay, so that's the reason why it is giving me a true over here. It checks each and every item of a tuple for equality and for not equal. Okay, so say that in tuple T1 I am having 1 2 and in tuple T2 I am having 1 2. Now what happened? Both the tuples are same, right? And I'm checking for not equal to. So what will be the outcome?
False.
It will be a false. Okay, so it checks each and every item in the tuple. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It is just a comparison operation, Andy. But what we are doing here is, don't get confused. We are just having tuples over here, two tuples over here, but the elements in the tuples are compared. Okay, so using the greater than, less than, and greater than equal to, and less than equal to. Okay, so it is just an outcome of the normal greater than, less than operation on the numbers. Okay, but here we are checking if one number doesn't equal what it is saying. It is saying that both the sets are not equal. So not equal, what it will do, not equal operation on the tuples will return true when they are not equal. Okay, so it will return false otherwise. Operations are max min operations. So what does it do? We are giving a tuple and we are trying to find max of T1 and min of T1. The max operation will return the greatest element in the tuple and min operation will return the least element in the tuple. So I have 1, 2, 4, 9. So the greatest is 9 and the min is 1. Okay, so that's what you can see the output. You can also give it on characters. The ASCII, it compares based on the ASCII code. Okay, so it has given Z. Okay, so the maximum element. Okay, so the maximum element in the tuple is Z. So it's giving Z over here. If you give string, the first elements in the string is compared. Okay, and then again the ASCII code is generated and it gives the max and min for in the strings. Okay, next is converting list and string to tuple. You can convert the list and string into the tuple by using the explicit conversion. So here I have taken a list because see I have given it in the square bracket and then I'm saying tuple and I'm passing this list as an argument into this particular tuple. This is what is called as explicit conversion. So as soon as when I passed this L into this particular tuple, what happens is this list has been converted. So you can see in the output, you got this 1, 2, 4, 9 in parentheses. Okay, so when they have parentheses, it means that it is a tuple. Okay, and here I have taken a string and inside the string I have put Sinu. And now I have converted this Sinu into tuple. So I just have put tuple and I passed this string as an argument into this particular tuple. So what happened? A tuple is created. You can see the output. Okay, so each and every character in the string has become one element in the tuple for me. So this is how you can convert a list and also a string to a tuple. Is it understood, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so next is a very important topic, which is tuple assignment. So what you can do is you can actually assign many elements, okay, to by using this particular tuple assignment. So here what I did is you can also do it without these tuples, but what internally it actually converts it into a tuple actually. So even if you write v1 comma v2 comma v3 is equal to 10 comma 20 comma 30 without putting it in parentheses, it works. Okay, but internally actually it converts it. So we are trying to understand what actually the programming language does internally. Okay, so here I can do compound assignment by taking multiple values on the right side and the same number of variables on the left side. See, the number of variables should be matching over here. If I am giving three literals on the right side, I should be having three variables on the left side. Okay, so the number of variables should match over here. So I said on the right side. So this concept we have seen in the assignment, when I discussed assignment operator, we have seen this concept. Okay, on the right hand side, RHS here represents that the right hand side of the assignment operator. So this is RHS and this is LHS. Okay, so I can give multiple literals on the right side and give the same number of variables on the left side. So one after the other, the variables will be assigned with the literals that I mentioned on the right hand side. So I have given 10, 20, and for your understanding, more understanding, I have given 30 into 2, meaning that I can also give an expression and assign it to a variable. Okay, so I have given, there are three literals on the right hand side. So there should be three variables on the left hand side. So 10 will be assigned to V1, 20 will be assigned to V2, and 30 into 2, 60 will be assigned to V3. Internally, this is actually a tuple. So when I say 10, 20, 60, even if you don't give this parenthesis, it works. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, but internally it is a tuple. And then we are saying t is equal to, so I have some tuple over here. And I can, because this tuple is having three items, I can also say v1, v2, v3 is equal to t. Okay, so this is also valid. So when I print the v1, v2, v3, each and every item will individually assign to a variable v1. So 1, 2, 3 is the first item in the tuple that will be assigned to v1. Tinu is the second item in the tuple, it will be assigned to variable v2. And 9.6 is the third item in tuple, which will be assigned to v3. But provided that the number of items in the tuple should match with the number of variables that you're giving on the left hand side. Okay, right. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so now this is a very, very important concept. So just listen to me very carefully. Tuples for returning multiple values. Okay, so we already have seen an example of div mod, right? So now we'll write our own code wherein we'll be returning two values. Okay, so we are returning. So just look into this part of the code. So this is a function. Okay, so we haven't seen the syntax of how to write a function and all that. But just listen to me that this is the name of the function. You know functions, right? You have studied in C programming functions. A function will be having a name, it will be having arguments, and it will be having a return type, right? So what are the three things that a function will be having? The three things that the function will be having is the name of the function, and the second one is the arguments in the function, and the function also will be having a return type. Okay, so here in this particular code, this is the entire program. In the example, I have given the entire program. You can type this in the online Python compilers and check it. Okay, so I want all of you to do that after the classes in your leisure time. Okay, so after 4, like you are having some time, right? Grab some coffee, grab some tea or whatever, have some snacks, and after that get into action. Okay, like practice all the examples that I'm showing you here. Only with practice you will be able to gain more deep knowledge of the subject. So now I'm saying max underscore min. Okay, so max underscore min is the name of the function and t is the argument. Okay, so here t is the argument. And inside the function, so you can see the indentation over here. So x, y, and written. There are three statements inside this function which are put with the as the function block. Okay, inside the body of the function. So inside the body of the function, I'm having three statements. The first statement is I'm saying x is equal to max of t, and then I said y is equal to min of t, and then I'm saying returning x comma y. Now what I'm doing over here, instead of returning one variable, I'm returning two variables. So which is x comma y. So I'm saying it is x comma y. Okay, right. So I can do it with multiple assignment and see here the argument. Okay, so now consider the argument. So here the argument is taking variable length of elements over here. It doesn't know how many elements it is taking. Okay, so but that's the reason what we are doing is we are passing a tuple over here. Okay, so we are saying 10 comma 50 comma. So if you want to find min and max in okay, so you of 50 numbers, you can make a tuple of that 50 numbers, pass it. Okay, so now what you're doing you're passing t over here. So when you're passing t, what happens is if the tuple is having 50 elements or 60 elements or 70 elements or whatever, all the 70 elements will be passed over here. You have to do that call in the function call. How many variables you have passed into the function, those many variables should be there in your function definition, because those are the variables which will be catching these variables over there and give it to the function for some computation. So if there are three in the function call, you need to have three arguments in the function definition. So that's the in C programming, you're passing an array. But here I'm talking about a tuple. Okay, so what you're doing, you're just having a tuple over here, and then you're passing the tuple into the function. Okay, so that is regarding the argument. Here the argument is taking so many values. So here t is taking more than one value. Okay, right. And inside it, it is because it's taking a tuple, you can apply these max and min operations on the tuple. So it's performing and it is returning it to you. And here we are using compound assignment. So I already told you in the previous slide, we discussed that how many are there on the right hand side, that many variables you can have it on the left hand side, provided it matches. Okay, so since it is passing x as the first argument, okay, so x is nothing but your large or the maximum element. So you can see x is equal to max of t. So that's why I have taken the first variable's name to be large. And the second argument, second value that it is returning, that this method is returning, this function is returning is y. So y is nothing but min of the tuple. So I have taken the second variable to be small. Okay, and I just have printed. So the maximum is 58 and I in the tuple. Very important note over here is that tuple do not support remove, pop, append, sort, reverse, and insert operations. All these operations are not supported in tuples just because tuples being immutable. Okay, so that's the only reason why they are not supported on tuples, is that because tuples are immutable. Okay, you cannot change the values inside a tuple. Is this program clear to my class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is another program wherein we are trying to understand what is nested tuples. Okay, right. So you can define a tuple inside a tuple. Okay, so here I'm having three elements inside the tuple, but each and every element in itself is a tuple. Okay, so that is what is called nested tuples. What is called as nested tuple? Now, if you consider T, how many elements are there inside a T?
3.
3 elements. Very good. Okay, so there are 3 elements inside a tuple. Now, this is the first element. how does the first element of the tuple look like? The first element is a tuple itself. Okay, so this is what is called as nested tuples. When you have tuples inside tuples as items, you call that concept as nested tuples. So this is a nested tuple. Okay, right. And when I access the nested tuples, it is showing me the items. So the first item is 1, 2, 3, which is a tuple itself. It is printing the first item. And then the second item is 4, 5, 6, which is again a tuple itself. So it is printing the second item. And the third item, 7, 8, 9, is the tuple itself. Okay, so it is printing that. This concept is called as nested tuple. And in this particular example, what I'm doing is there are 3 items. Even if you don't give parentheses, it considers it to be a tuple. Okay, right. So I'm saying print T. So it's printing the elements over here. And then I'm saying print T of 0. So tuples are indexed, right? So it's a sequence. So it starts with index 0, 1, 2, and all that. Okay, so the first, this is the first item, this is the second item, and this is the third item. So when I say T of 0, the first item is printed. Okay, then what I'm doing is I'm creating a new tuple over here, which is V, by saying T comma 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I can also put it this way. I can say T comma 1, 2, 3. There are 2 items over here. The first one is T. So it takes all the elements from the T. So what are the elements in the T? This is the T, right? Okay, so these will be taken, as well as the other tuple is 1, 2, 3. So I have 1, 2, 3 over here. When I print it, it will have all the items of T as well as another item which is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can also do it this way. I can also say T comma and like this and assign it to a variable which is V. So because this is a tuple, then V becomes a tuple now. Okay, and I printed V, so this will be the outcome of V. Is this clear? Nested tuples.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the next concept is checking index of tuples. Okay, right. So the index operation will return the index of an element that you pass as an argument into index function. So here the index function will be taking the item. Okay, so it will be taking the item directly. So I want to check whether what is the index value of 4. So 4 is item. So I want to check what is the index of 4. The index of 4 is 3 in the tuple. Okay, so that's why it has written 3 over here. Okay, index is a function which will be taking the item directly, the element in the tuple, and it will return the index. Okay, so it is, say I'm putting 5. So I say index 5, it will return 4 for me. Okay, index 1, it will return 0 for me. Index 2, it will return 1 for me. Okay, so it is returning the index. And the next one is, I want to find out what is the index of 9. So it will check whether 9 is there in the tuple or not. 9 item is not at all there in the tuple. Okay, so it is not there. So what it will do, it will give me a value error. Okay, X not in tuple. So value error, and then it gives the description saying that, so X not in tuple. So 9 is not there in the tuple. So it's giving me an error. Okay, what is the error? It is a value error. Next is the count method. It returns the number of elements with a specific value in a tuple. Okay, so I just wanted to count the number of occurrences of a specific element in a tuple. So I can just use the count method. So this is the tuple. So I have 1.1, 2, 3, 1.15, 2, and 3 in the tuple. So I just have printed the tuple. Okay, so the elements in the tuple are put on the screen for us. And then I said T dot count, and I want to count the number of occurrences of 1.1. So the number of occurrences are 2. Okay, so it is returning a 2 for me. Okay, in the similar way, I have taken another tuple over here. So which is having 2 A's, and I want to count how many A's are there. So it is saying there are 2 A's. And then I have another tuple with 2 strings, Sinu. So when I count it, it is giving me 2. Okay, so then I have 2 items in a tuple which are Boolean items, Boolean literals. So there are 2 trues over here. Why I have given all this is I just wanted to show you that you can apply this count operation on any kind of data type. Okay, right. And also you can see that the tuple can consist of integers, floats, okay, characters, strings, and also Boolean literals. Okay, right. Is count clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Okay. So the next is, how can you use list comprehensions to create a tuple? Okay, fine. So we know that list comprehensions are the shortcut access. Okay, so that is used to create a list, right? So which is one of the advantages of the list. List comprehensions will actually reduce the number of lines inside a code. Okay, so it's a shortcut syntax that we are using to create a list over there. But you can also use these list comprehensions to create tuples. Let us see how it is. So I'm saying I just have a tuple over here. So I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how you actually declare a tuple. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this is how you create a tuple. And then we are printing the tuple. So I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. Now say I want to create a new tuple. Okay, so by using the concept of list comprehension. So I'm saying I into 2. Okay, so for I in T. Okay, so what it will take each and every item from T. Okay, what are the items in T? So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm saying I will take first 1. So I'm saying 1 into 2. So what is the outcome? 1. And then next I gets incremented, moves on to the next element in the list. Okay, so 2 into 2, which is returning me a 4. Then 3, then I goes to the next element in the sequence. So it goes to 3 and it does 3 into 2, which is 6. I goes to the next element in the sequence, which is 4, 4 into 2, which is 8. Okay, so next it moves to 5. So 5 into 2, which is 10 over here. So what did it do? It has created me a new list. What is the list? It has created me a new list. Listen to me carefully. List comprehensions create new list only. It doesn't create a tuple. It creates a list only. So what is the new list? The new list is 1, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay, so now since you can actually explicitly convert, okay, so in the previous slides I have shown you, in the beginning of the class I have shown you operations, wherein I have taken a list and I have converted the list into a tuple, okay, by using explicit conversion. And also I have taken a string and converted into a tuple. So you can do that. So what I did, so that's the reason why I'm actually casting it. Okay, so I'm taking, it's an explicit casting. So I'm taking the tuple, I'm taking the list comprehension, creating a new list out of some tuple T. Then what I'm doing, so the result of this particular list comprehension is a list itself. So now I'm using this explicit conversion to convert this list into tuple. Now, when I print this particular newly created tuple, so it is showing it to be a tuple over here. So the elements inside the tuple are 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Is this clear, Ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Next is variable length augment tuples. Okay. So just remember that we will be using a symbol star over here. So let me explain you this with an example. Okay. So this is an example. Okay, so just take a look at this particular example. You will understand what does it mean by variable length arguments. Okay, now I'm having a method. Okay, so I have a method over here. So what is the method is add. Okay, so what is this add doing? Let us just try to understand what is this method written for. This method is written to actually sum the elements that are provided as arguments over here. Okay, so there are many elements that are provided as arguments to this particular method. What it will do, it will actually add all these elements and return the sum. The sum in itself, the method itself is printing the sum on the screen for us. So it's not returning anything. This method, what is the name of the method? The name of the method is add. And what is the functionality of this method add? The functionality of this function is that it is taking some list of or some sequence of numbers, and it is doing sum, and it is printing the sum of the elements that it has received as arguments. Okay, so this is actually the method. Now what I'm doing is I'm calling the method add. I'm calling the method add. Okay, into this particular method as arguments. I'm passing gather all these elements. Okay, so to actually gather all these elements, so I'm saying 1282 is passed, right? When you are passing 1282 into this particular function, so it has to gather all these elements into a single variable. It has to take it into a single variable. Here I'm not giving any tuple, nothing I'm giving. Okay, so I'm just passing the numbers. Have I declared any tuple in this particular program?
No, ma'am.
No, right? I have not created any tuple. Okay, but what is happening here is the numbers, the variables that I'm passing as arguments are gathered over here into this particular variable, which is num. This num is taking this particular elements and it is gathering all of them, and it will be creating a tuple of it. So this will be created. Okay, so it is creating a tuple of all these particular items that you are passing through into this particular add method. Now it is creating something like this. So if I have tried to show you the type of num variable. Okay, so what is the output of this? This is the outcome of this particular print statement. So what it is showing? What is the type of num? What
Tuple.
is the type of num? It is saying tuple. Okay, so internally it is a tuple. Okay, so we are just trying to understand what is happening internally. So internally, the type of this particular variable over here, which is gathering all the items that are passed into a function. So that is a tuple. Okay, so this is what we are doing is we are putting a star over here. Okay, so to gather, to represent that it is having more than one value. Okay, so number is having more than one value now. It is not representing a single element. It is representing a group of elements, a sequence of elements. So that's why we are putting a star over here. Okay, so it is taking this add, okay, and it is summing up and it is giving me 13. And in the next function call, we are passing some more elements. So it is taking all these, gathering all this into a tuple. Okay, and then it is summing all these elements, and it is printing the sum on the screen for us, which is 21. Okay, did you understand this, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What is called as gathering? Okay, so in the previous passing 1, 2, 8, 2, so there are different elements. So what it is doing, it is gathering all these elements and a gathering and a colorful variable, which is num. What it is doing, it is gathering all these elements passed as arguments into a tuple. Okay, so this is gathering the elements. You have to represent it with a star num. Okay, so this is gather, they are the opposite words. Okay, so they are antonyms. Now I am showing, stop it now. So we'll see in tomorrow's class. I